What is up, people? It is me, Monster58, and welcome back to another video review. Today we are going to be taking a look at the Super 7 Toho Ultimate Destoroyah from the 1995 movie. I believe it's just Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. And so this figure, the reason I ended up picking this up is because I've been looking for a Destoroyah for my collection, and obviously the SH Monster Arts one has not had a re-release or anything very recently, and is going for ridiculous prices on the aftermarket. I am not willing to pay that, and so when you have a figure that is this big and is also priced at a really solid price, it's like $109. It was like $130 for me after taxes and shipping and everything like that, like $120, $130. This is a steal in my opinion, and is, from what I've heard online, a very, very cool and very good figure. And from my experience with it, I also concur with relatively the same. But before we even get into the figure, let's take a look at the box. As you can see, it is a massive box. And also, we have a new review studio. I did build a new one. Construction really isn't all the best. But at the end of the day, it does look nicer, I think, in terms of the background and everything like that. I think it looks a bit better. But taking a look at it, you can see the very nice kanji for, I believe this is more than likely Destoroyah. The Super 7 logo is up here as well. You can see the Ultimate logo right here as well. Some just nice textured, you know, like a Destoroyah textured boxing here. You can see Godzilla vs. Destoroyah there. You can also see like the contents there. Then you can see some more nice texturing there. On the bottom, there really isn't all that much. Just all of the like warnings and whatnot, and all the logos. The Super 7 logos down there as well. You can see that. But when you remove the sleeve here, you can see this is where he would be, obviously, but here, when we remove the sleeve, you can see the other cool like artwork there. You can see like this red here, like that's really neat. The whole plastic, everything, it just looks really, really good. And so overall, when it comes to the box, this is a really, really cool box, and I do like it. I'm gonna keep this box when it comes to just keeping it in general. And excuse me while I slide this down back on the box. Alright, finally got it on there, but I also wanted to show that on the back of the box you can also see like a nice description here. You can pause this if you'd like to. There, you can pause it right now if you'd like to see the description. But yeah, very, very cool that they added this, and so we're just gonna go ahead and slide this back down. And so, with the box all out of the way, like I said, I think the box is really, really cool, and if I can actually get the camera angle correct. And there we go. That's it for the box, and so without further ado, alrighty folks, here we have the Toho Ultimate Super 7 Destoroyah from the 1995 film Godzilla vs. Destoroyah out of the box, and I gotta say, guys, this is a pretty damn fantastic looking figure. Now, I know I'm a stickler for scale, and I'll get this out of the way right now. This guy is much bigger than like that 6-inch scale, but at the end of the day, very similar to what I said in my Soul of Chogokin review, which, by the way, link in the description to that if you'd like to take a look. I love that review. First video on my channel to get over 1,000 views, so thank you guys so much. But just like I said in Soul of Chogokin, despite Destoroyah being this version of Destoroyah, this figure being significantly bigger than like the other Godzillas and stuff like that, and other characters that I have, you know, from Ogira to King Ghidorah and stuff like that. Just like King Ghidorah, Destoroyah is one of Godzilla's biggest physically and most fiercest villains of all time, in my opinion. And so to have a Destoroyah that is really big is nothing that I'm too worried about. The only thing you really have to worry about is space. Now, I'm kind of kicking myself a little bit for buying this guy, because recently Bandai just revealed like a week ago that they're releasing a 70th anniversary version of Burning Godzilla, which I'm definitely going to be getting. And if that is the case, then I wouldn't be surprised if soon along the horizon we're going to end up seeing the Destoroyah, you know, get a release to match the 70th anniversary, which is really going to just feel like, damn, dude, I should have just waited for the SH Monster Arts one in that way. But regardless, this is still really, really cool. So taking a look at the details, guys, this guy, when it comes to the detail, I mean, it is absolutely gorgeous. Like, you can see the head is just the eyes are really nice. All this crazy molded in details, absolutely gorgeous. You can see the teeth there are painted really nicely. All these spikes here, what would be, I assume, teeth or spikes on the side. The, you know, the horn, his iconic horn coming down here to the chest. You can see, like, look at that. That detail right in the chest is so awesome. This, you know, all the scaling and the molding here, you can see more nice with the spikes here, that brushed, like sort of airbrushed like paint on there. All of the awesome detail here on the arms, on the claws, on the hands, Coming down here to the crotch and the waist, you can see really nice molded detail, more of the spikes and everything like that. This guy, by the way, I'm going to tell you this right now. This guy is sharp. Like, every angle that you see, all these spikes, these are sharp. These hurt. Like, when you poke them hard enough, they hurt. These look really good too, coming down here to the feet. I mean, everything just looks absolutely gorgeous on this guy. And you can even see, looking in the wings here, like, the wings are really, really pretty. You can see, like, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say pretty, but very cool. You can see all of that detail is just really well done. Same thing here in the smaller wings as well. You can see all that detail is really, really cool. Coming around here to the back, I mean, that is just accentuated here. You can see all of the crazy ridges and everything like that. I mean, looking at the tail, the same, right? Very, very cool. Like, all around, when it comes to the actual looks, this guy absolutely wins in a lot of them. And his heft, too. I'll tell you that right now. This guy is very, very heavy. This is a hefty figure and is no slouch when it comes to the girth department. Like, this, when you hold this guy, like, my left arm right now is tired from holding this guy. And plus, I just did chest day today, but a push day today, so that also will probably have to do with it. But regardless, you guys can... if you guys get this figure or ever get it in hand, he's heavy. He is not light at all. This doesn't feel like... SH Monster Arts, they do feel substantial, but not this substantial. Even the Soul of Jigoken didn't necessarily, I'd say, feel this substantial when it came to it. So overall, really, really incredible when it comes to the detail, when it comes to how this guy looks, like, overall, and how this guy feels. The plastic quality feels fantastic. Like, this is just a home run in terms of the looks, the feel. Like, it just looks really, really good. And what we're going to do here is we're going to do our comparisons, but the first comparison we're going to do is I'm going to set Destoroyah off to the side here, and we're going to chuck the actual, like, model from the, you know, the suit from the actual movie here on the right, so you guys can compare and contrast. It's pretty spot on. Proportions, the colors, everything, they're pretty spot on, although there could be a little bit more of a, in like the Destoroyah Monsters Melee game, this inner part of his body, like a good chunk of this is more purple-y, like purplish blue, like indigo color, more than anything else, as when it comes to Destoroyah, his, like, oxygen breath is, like, purple, you know, like this bright, you know, purple, especially in the games and stuff like that. Like, you see that, and so it would have been nice for this to be a little bit darker color, but if they were aiming more towards the movie, I can definitely see where they were coming from. But overall, when it comes to comparing this to the show model, it's absolutely fantastic. And so we're going to do one more comparison. I would do the Magnius one, but I don't think it's really all that necessary here, because I know this guy's in the transfer. Well, you know what? Screw it. Here's Destoroyah, and here he is with the Transformers Legacy United Deluxe Class Infernac Universe Magnius. As you can see, there's a very significant size difference. So this is your average Transformers Deluxe. So if you have a figure that's around this size, or if you have a Transformers Deluxe, you can get an idea of exactly how big Destoroyah is. Destoroyah is a big and chunky boy. Alrighty, and to compare with the Monster Arts figure, here he is with the SH Monster Arts Godzilla -1. As you can see, there is a significant size difference between these two. Now, I believe the Burning Godzilla from Super 7 that pairs alongside with this guy is about here, which makes a lot of sense, right? He is about here, because he should still be shorter than Destoroyah, but not by this much. But like I said, with the Soul of Jigoken, I do not mind that that figure is big, because that's my favorite version of Mechagodzilla. And so when it comes to Destoroyah, Destoroyah is one of my favorite Godzilla villains, and so to have him as a really big and imposing figure, despite it not being quite in scale as how it actually should be, it's still really, really cool. And so I'm very happy to have this, and definitely when I have the Burning Godzilla from the 70th anniversary, I will for sure pair that alongside this guy so you guys can see the comparison between these two. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how big he is in comparison to your average SH Monster Arts figure. So if you're planning to display these guys, you have an idea of the size between these guys and how big Destoroyah is in comparison, right? So really cool stuff. I love how big and imposing Destoroyah feels here. Alrighty, folks, when it comes to the articulation, this guy is not the most dynamic, and he never was the most dynamic. Keep in mind that this guy's a big chunker, so there really wasn't, and also with this figure, I really wasn't expecting any crazy articulation, but for what he is, he still has some solid stuff. So the head is on the ball joint, so you can get like some nice twisty bits. You can look down a bit, you can look up and stuff like that, but nothing crazy. For the arms, they do a full 360, but you'll be hard-pressed to sort of get it like that, because especially these wing bits run into like the back of his head, because his head, is flared out, very similar to like a cobra, right? His arms, they have a rotation here at the upper part of the bicep. You can get a full 360, but again, given the armor and everything like that's going to be hard to get that. You can bend about this, so about 90. You also have wrist rotation, and then the wrists also have their own little articulation, especially when you can see that right here when I'm bending it like this. When it comes to waist, you really don't have a waist joint at all. Alrighty, folks, I just wanted to say that I apologize. No, he does have a waist joint, and it's decently substantial. It was tight when I was trying to move it in the video, and so I just didn't want to force it just in case I were to break it. But it does have a pretty good waist joint. In addition, I also missed the articulation on the wings. They're pretty good. They have like their little ball joints, essentially, like they're attached by ball joints, and then they have little swivels on them. But the issue I have with these wings is that they don't attach quite very well onto the back of Destoroyah. They tend to fall off a lot. At least the big ones do. The small ones are better, but the big ones tend to fall off when you're trying to twist them and pose them. So I'd say be careful with them. It's just, man, even though it looks all good for the wings, the functionality for the big ones isn't the best. And again, I apologize for that waist joint, and I apologize for any of the other articulation that I might have missed. But these are the two things I know that I missed, and I just want to insert this little voiceover just to tell you guys there is a waist joint, and the wings, while the articulation is solid, they still aren't the best. But back to video me. But the legs twist a little bit, so you have a little bit here. You can kick forward about that far. You can kick back. You don't really have a knee joint at all. The ankles have ball joints, but they're very limited. And then when you come here to the tail, you can bend it and stuff like that, but it's not quite as dynamic as like an SH Monster Arts tail, so you're not going to be getting the crazy bends, but you can still move it around. It's just it's a very stiff tail. And that's one thing I'd like to talk about here before we get into the accessories and stuff like that. This guy, the way he comes packaged is he comes without his tail and his wings on, and so thus you actually have to, tab them in yourselves. And I'll tell you this right now, this guy is really hard to handle when it comes to some of the functionality of swapping and attaching parts on, particularly on his head, and also particularly in attaching the tail the first time around. Now, for the tail, you don't have to worry about it for the first time around, but as you'll see in the accessories, this guy's a swappable head. And to get the second head on there, I had to do that hair dryer method, and also I had to do that with the tail, where you just heat up the area where the ball joint is supposed to go in to get the plastic to expand so that the ball joint can actually go in. Because I'm going to tell you, trying to attach the tail to this guy and trying to swap out the head on this guy is extremely painful, like in terms of just trying to force it on. Because like I told you, this guy has a lot of sharp points. Like there's no real smooth surface on this guy, and so when you're trying to push things in, you end up pushing your hands or whatever against like all these sharp points. And then I actually got cuts on my hand the first time I handled this guy because he was so annoying to like just swap out the head, put the tail on, everything like that. It was really annoying. Now he doesn't come with anything else other than you'll see he comes with a pair of swappable hands, he comes with a separate head, and then 3 other small accessories that are all the same accessory, just there's just 3 of them, and you'll see what they are. But regardless, the fact that that is something to note of, it just like it kind of irks me, the fact that I have to think about grabbing my hair dryer out of like my bathroom just to be able to swap this guy's head out. Like I shouldn't have to do that. And don't get me wrong, I am all for like tight joints and very secure connections, but at the same time, especially, I know this is an adult collectible, but when you have like a younger person trying to do this, this is not easy to attach the parts and everything like that. It's really annoying. But with that all out of the way, we're going to get into the accessories here in just a second. I just wanted to tell you guys that because that is a point that we're going to bring up here when we go to the score of this figure, because for me, that's, in my opinion, significantly impacts the score. Alrighty guys, when it comes to the accessories, let's get into them. So the accessories, I'm not going to lay them all out like I do an SH Monster Arts figure because this guy is huge. So the first thing is the head. So here's the other head. It's just him with an open mouth and, him screaming and roaring. You can see the tongue there is very cool. It looks really, really cool. But yeah, if you're attaching this for the first time, definitely grab a hair dryer, loosen this up and peg it on. Luckily, because I've already loosened it up, I can relatively peg it on without that much trouble, but I'm not going to peg it on now because and take the head off because, man, that's just a struggle. It's really genuinely just a struggle, and it hurts my hand, so I apologize if you guys want me to show that, but I'll show that to you in the in the photos, you'll see Destoroyah with this head on there when I go to the pictures and everything like that. But I just want to point that out that I'm not going to do that in the video. But the way you do it is, what I like to do is you grab the head essentially by this, and then you pull by essentially like these bits here, you know, where his head fans out, and then you pull that off, and then you just attach the ball joint that's there with this and there. But yeah, the head looks really cool. Again, nothing really crazy, just an open mouth instead of a closed one. So very nice accessory. Again, very well done, like I said earlier, with all this very awesome detail. Like, they did not skimp out on the detail or the paint here, so really, really cool stuff. Moving on, we also have a pair of swappable hands. Now, these are just more open claw hands. If you want to tell which one is which, so this I believe is right, or left. This I believe is right. So you can see that this is like, it's like this. So wherever the bigger space is, that's where it is. It's not like this. I mean, you can have it like this, so it's actually very easy to swap. So just pull these off, and then they just have these little pegs right there, and then you have a hole inside the arm there, and you can do the same here. So there you go. Yeah, there is one of Destoroyah's hands. So very, very cool. Like, you can actually do that. It's nice that they give you an option for a display. It's nothing crazy, but the fact that they offer it in the first place is pretty cool. And so, yeah, luckily these are way easier to attach than the head is. So yeah, really, really cool stuff there. It's not insane, but the fact that they have it is nice for extra options. The last accessory that you get 3 of these guys. So for those of you who don't know, the story of Destoroyah is essentially like when they tried to use the oxygen destroyer on Godzilla, and then ended up mutating a bunch of crabs, and those crabs ended up mutating into what we know as Destoroyah. And so throughout the film, Destoroyah gets several forms. Like, it starts off and it's like microscopic, then it goes to like a crab size, then it goes a little bit bigger, and then a lot of those crabs like combine together to form these guys, which are the aggregate, well, not the, sorry, these are the what is it, the juvenile form, and these guys are about the size of like a human. Like, they're bigger than a human. Like, I'd say like they're the size of like a bear. Like, they're pretty huge, right? And you see that in the movie. Actually, I'll link one of the fight scenes in the description where soldiers end up fighting these guys. But yeah, you can see these, I think, represent their on-screen counterparts very, very well. They're very cool looking. You can see even some nice little detail there. They're nicely molded as well. You can see all of that detail in the mold. And the paint could be, you know, a little more to be desired, but given how tiny this guy is, like, you can see, very, very small figures. And like I said, you get 3 of these guys. So you get 3 of them. So cool display, cool little accessory that they added. Didn't need to. And after he goes from this, he goes to his aggregate form, where like a bunch of these combine into a big one. And then he has these legs as sort of the Destoroyah size. And then eventually he evolves where he has the Godzilla legs, Godzilla style legs. So yeah, when it comes to the accessories, I think they're very cool. It's just specifically the functionality with taking the head off and putting it back on. That's what makes this guy really, really like annoying functionally to deal with. And so yeah, overall still really cool accessories. It's just, yeah, functionality could be a little bit better done, because when you're looking at, like, I'll just explain why. I know that this is a statue and it's not a one-to-one comparison, but there's a statue, I think, that a company released of, what is it, Transformers Age of Extinction, Optimus Prime, and you know how he has like his shield gun. For those of you who know his design in that in that movie, and those the last 2 Bayformer films, the way that you can like swap out parts and stuff like that is through magnets, and I think that that's just much better in terms of the functionality. Now again, I know it's a statue and this is a figure, but still to have something akin to that would have been nicer, because again, I'm not trying to get my hands cut up just trying to do this, and I don't think that most people, every time they want to just swap out a part, would want to have a hairdryer on hand just to be able to do that. Like, I think that that's a little bit annoying, right? Especially if you're messing around with these guys, right? And so just wanted to get that out of the way as well and talk about that. But yeah, when it comes to the actual, like, again, accessories themselves, they're good. Nothing crazy. He gets exactly cut sort of what he needs. I guess the one accessory or couple I would have liked, a breath effect part would have been cool for the oxygen, or an extra part to his horn, because if you guys don't know, Destoroyah has like an energy horn, and it would have been cool to see like an energy effect part that you could put on his actual horn to be able to replicate the energy horn that he has. So would have been cool, but overall still fine. And yeah, that's it for the accessories. Alrighty, folks, so for my final concluding thoughts on the Super 7 Toho Ultimates Destroyer from the 1995 film Godzilla vs. Destoroyah, this guy is really, really solid and really, really good. What are the best parts about this figure? What I think is good about this figure is that he is big, he is chunky, his molded detail is amazing, as well as the paint, and the accessories are really cool, despite me wishing for, like, an energy effect part for his oxygen breath or something like that, or something like an energy effect part for, like, the horn that's the energy horn that he has. Would have been really cool to see parts like that, but again, I think it's sort of made up for the fact that this guy is big, he feels heavy, plastic quality is really good, the detail and the paint are all absolutely spot on. However, my main gripe with this guy is the functionality. Trying to get that tail attached when you first open this guy is an absolute pain in the nuts. And same thing with changing the head out. If you want to change the head out from the open mouth to the closed mouth, it can get really annoying to have to get a hair dryer and loosen it up and then put your hair dryer back and then finally attach the head to the ball joint. Like, the fact that that needs to happen, it shouldn't really, like, be that tight to where that is the part we have to resort to. And I know people are used to it, but when you're thinking about, like, I'm trying to think about also people who don't collect a ton of stuff and they just want, like, a couple pieces here and there. To have to do that is just a pain, right? Like, it's just a pain, and I hope you guys understand where I'm coming from. Again, the figure's really good. I just wanted to say that that's the worst part about this figure, is some of the functionality when it comes to, like, attaching certain parts to him. But overall, I'm still going to give this guy a 9 out of 10, because even when you factor in the price here, 109 versus, you know, like the SH Monster Arts one was like 2 something, and that was the 6-inch scale. And so when you're comparing this guy's a much bigger figure. He feels heavier. The detail and the paint are arguably just about the same in terms of the level of detail and paint that they have. This is a steal, and in my opinion, when you're thinking about figures along this sort of size scale, as well as when you're comparing them, like, keep in mind the Soul of Chogokin was like 300 buckaroos. This guy, third of the price. Really, really good deal. And again, for Destoroyah, one of Godzilla's most physically imposing and fiercest villains, I am happy with having a Destoroyah in this size class. So yeah, like I said, 9 out of 10. And at the end of the day, I did pick mine up on the Big Bad Toy Store, so I'll leave a link in the description to that. I also think you can buy this guy on, like, Amazon and stuff, so I'll leave links in the description to that if I can find a listing for this guy on Amazon as well. So you guys can go and pick this guy up for yourself. Again, after shipping and tax for me, it was about like 120, 130. Really not bad when you're comparing it again to the line and the size scale and everything like that of figures that are within this, you know, within the scope, right, in the space. And so, yeah, I think that is really it for the video review, and so I thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch this video. Please like, comment, rate, and subscribe, and share this video with your friends. Also, follow me in the socials. Those will be linked in the description below. And with that, guys, and once again, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video review, and I'll catch you on the next one. Hope you guys have a wonderful day. Peace.